let's talk about you. Let's talk about what connects to you, what aligns with you, and how you want to be perceived. Some may call this identity, while others call this branding. Let me tell you why it's important to understand your own branding. I think a lot of people mistake branding with something that's more corporate, something that's more studied and just not genuine and naturally from within. I'm arguing that branding is an important tool to make those natural traits within you even more transparent and strong in the eyes of an audience. You can still be yourself naturally. You never have to change yourself, never have to sell yourself out. But if you understand your core traits and the base and the center of what makes you you, and you know how to capitalize off that, that's a very strong brand. And you can be very well off in many aspects of life. Having a brand isn't performative, it isn't corporate, it isn't trying to cater to people all the time. It's about knowing yourself and knowing what you do like and what you don't like, what you do want connected to you, what you don't want connected to you. That may sound shallow, that may sound like you're closing yourself off with all these possibilities. That doesn't mean you have to stop everything entirely, like you have to close all borders. It just means your filter is stronger. You want to nurture it and make sure that it stays connected entirely. Anything that disjoints it, you'll just nip at the bud. And that's why branding is important. When you understand your own brand, you stand strong. You don't waver, you don't ever question yourself. You just know yourself completely and thoroughly, which to many can come off as confident, attractive, and genuine. So if you've been struggling with trying to identify what it is that makes you, stick around because I'll be talking about why it's so important to truly know yourself. Before we get started on that, ignore my chipmunk cheek. I am currently recovering from wisdom tooth removal that happened literally 2 days ago. If I pull any dream poses, that's the reason why. Anyways, let's talk about branding. Like I said earlier in the video, people assume branding is more of a business thing, which you're not wrong. Many of your favorite companies had numerous people involved in the writing room, involved in the think tank of how to truly make an impact wherever there's people that are willing to look at the brand. You got dozens of people in a group trying to make sure that their cereal box stands out the most in the grocery aisle. You got huge teams within a music label trying to figure out how to make their up-and-coming artists stand out above the dozens of other up-and-coming artists. It's true, branding is a strong business tool. To me, it can also be applied to your personal life. A book that I decided to read before I got into YouTube was The Brand Gap by Marty Neumeier. Forgive me if I said his last name wrong, but I think I got it right. I decided to pick up this book because I wanted something that was easier to read, to help me understand how to be cohesive on my internet persona. I wanted my channel to be a reflection of myself, but at the same time, something that I haven't truly tapped into as much as all my other versions of me. I wanted the content to be something that I liked talking about. There was a fine line between being an authentic internet persona and making things that people want to keep going back to. And I felt like this book helped me understand it a little bit more. Granted, it is a dated book. It was made in 2006. It made that fact really apparent at one point when it was talking about how Google was a risky and new company. Little would Marty know. Little would Marty know. But even though it's dated, it still had a lot of very important and valid information within the pages. There's been many quotes that I have read from this book that has stuck with me ever since I read it, and I believe I'll apply them to any future endeavor that I do. To understand the process of making your own brand, we first have to understand what a brand is. A brand is a gut feeling felt by enough people directed to a certain thing. When you think of Nike, you think about physical activity, you think about exercise, you think about health, and in a sense that makes you feel healthy. That makes you feel like doing those activities like running, playing basketball. That makes you feel like participating in sports, being an active person. That is a good brand. That's a feeling. Let me tell you how this can apply to you. If you want to come off as collected and mature and very well off in life, then you're going to make smart decisions to ensure that you are living that lifestyle. You're not going to be spending things unwisely. You're not going to be putting yourself in situations that you can't climb out of. You're going to keep you and your environment clean, tidy, in order. You're going to dress well. You're going to have your hygiene up because that's your brand. You come off as mature and well collected, not someone that's all over the place. And if your brand is the opposite, you are a bit spontaneous, you can come off as wild, you can come off as creative and colorful, you would ensure that you are living that lifestyle, that you have those characteristics. If you are like that, you're not going to always be brooding and just tensing your jaw looking off into space. You're going to be expressive, you're going to be noticeable. If you are bright and that is your brand, then you will be bright, both personally and in the way you present yourself. So if a brand is the gut feeling of how people feel towards a certain thing, then when you align a brand to yourself, people have a certain feeling towards you. Not every brand is a good brand. Sometimes people don't realize that they're making a bad brand for themselves. If they always come off as unreliable or untrustworthy, then that feeling towards them can stick. But when you do have a good brand and there's a reliable feeling that you evoke from the people, that's a very strong tool that you can use to your advantage. They can always go to you to rely on whatever it is you're strong at. You may argue that that sounds like categorization. I argue that it's not putting yourself in a box, it's just strengthening your traits. It's highlighting what you're already good at. And if it's a good brand, it's highlighting what you want to continue to be good at, what you want to be better at. The brand gap looks into the importance of having a reliable feeling a lot. There's plenty of quotes connecting feeling to brand. It says in the book, the more trust towards a product, the more people will buy it. Trust is the ultimate shortcut to a buying decision and the bedrock of modern branding. Aesthetics is the language of feeling, and people value feeling. And my favorite, the brand isn't what you say it is, it's what they say it is. So you see how branding could be tied to your personal life? There's feelings involved, and feelings that are attributed to your actions, the way you carry yourself and present yourself. To me, that's very personal. Why it's so important to have your own personal brand, it's so your actions can be more decisive. You know what to say no to. You know what to say yes to. For example, if someone wants to peer pressure you to do something that doesn't match your vibe, you're more likely to say no to that or turn away from it because you know yourself more. You know your values more. Another example is that if you know yourself truly, you won't feel so bad when people begin to judge you, question you for making a certain decision. Going back to that last example, you say no to those people that are trying to peer pressure you, and then they start heckling you or berating you, just trying to make light of the situation and coax you into making that decision. You won't feel bad for turning away and just continuing doing your thing. You have that much trust in yourself and your brand. Like, people can recognize that. People can feel this guy really knows himself. This guy has his morals and his values and he's sticking to them. I'm not saying be stubborn, by the way, and never conform. Never be open to new information and new viewpoints. In other words, never learn. In fact, I say the opposite of that. Always try to learn and try to incorporate that in your brand. Try to incorporate new information and new experiences that help you to evolve and be even stronger in yourself. Just make sure that when you do that, you can still apply it to what is natural from you. The purpose of being strong in your own identity is not having to completely change yourself. That isn't identity, that's just putting on a costume. The purpose of knowing your identity is to make things easier for you. I wish I had this mindset when I was in high school, because it always felt like I was changing my skin every time I was in a different group of people, because I felt like I had to. And looking back at it, I kind of cringe because it's not something I would ever do now. So how can you figure out your own brand? How can you begin to start nurturing a feeling that you want to evoke from people? You have to understand what suits you right now. When you're first starting to develop this, try to stay close to your circle. Don't just 180 yourself. We have to figure out what suits you most right now. Then you can just hone in on those characteristics and those actions that you're good at and truly get a good grasp of what you're able to do. For example, if you're a shy and timid person and you like listening to people, but you want to develop your brand to be showcasing the more expressive side of you, then understand that you're already good at listening, and that will help you to be a better conversationalist. That doesn't mean you're all of a sudden going to be like a stand-up comedian, just totally making every room erupt in laughter. That might not even be something that you want, but honing in on the skills that you're already good at can help bridge the distance between other skills that you don't have already. And that's the next step. Once you figure out and understand what you're good at now, what you have tied to you now, That's when you add in the things that you want to be associated with in the near future. Things that you just haven't gotten to yet. When you add things that you want to be attributed to, you have to make sure it's not too much of a stretch. And that's the last step. You have to stick with what makes sense. You got to make sure that if two things aren't on the same page, they at least need to be in the same book. You got to make sure that they connect in some way. I'm not telling you to not try that. Go for it. You know, if you're able to do that, then incredible. To make your life easier and to make your brand feel connected to you, you need to draw things that are close to your center, to the base of your personality. If you want to improve your personality, then that will also improve your brand. That's what I mean about being realistic, about choosing things that make sense. Because if you have a brand that doesn't make sense, then it's not a reliable brand. It'll be really difficult to be a sexy playboy heartbreaker when in nature they're really modest and are deathly afraid of hurting people's feelings. It wouldn't make sense. At that point, it would be acting. If you're good at acting, then go ahead and do it, but it doesn't come off as authentic and reliable for people to go to. So to summarize this whole video, branding can be important for your personal life. It can be a tool, it can be a framework to rely on when you feel lost. Sometimes you go through moments in your life where your identity doesn't feel intact. It feels like it's all over the place. When you understand yourself and you understand your morals and values, you stand true to them and you stand strong. When you understand what you're good at already and also at the same time what you want to be better at. And when you use all of that to your advantage to nurture your image and your lifestyle and your personality, that is your personal brand. It can be a powerful thing. It can mold your mentality to further cement that this is what you are. This is who you are and who you can be. So for the people who struggle with identity, for the ones that want to have that base, that sense of reliability that they can always go back to, hopefully what I said in the video connects with you. At the end of the day, I'm using words like branding and identity, but honestly, this is just a lot of self-reflection paired with discipline. You need to know when to say no to things that you don't want attributed to you, and you need to know when to capitalize on the things that will push you forward. With that being said, I hope that what I had to say made an impact and helps you understand yourself a little bit more, or at least helps you want to understand yourself a little bit more. I think it's important. I think understanding this concept can be a building block to all sorts of things in life. Whether you do want to start a business, whether you do want to make a startup that makes $1 million in 12 months, whether you want to start YouTube or be a music artist, or has something that has an identifiable gravitational pull to people's gut feelings, or you just want to develop yourself and have that peace within yourself, then I think this is a good first step, and I hope you consider it. Shout out to The Brand Gap by Marty Neumeier. I really do hope I'm saying that name right. If you're interested in developing your own brand or just the concept of branding itself, then you can look up this book. It's on Amazon. I got it for a pretty good price. I can also leave a link in the description down below. Anyways, that'll be all from me and my chipmunk cheek. If you enjoyed the video, then please make sure to interact with it in some way, however way you'd like. Any way would help me a ton. If this video was interesting, then make sure to check out the video over here that future me editing will put on. It's been oso.human. I appreciate you for watching. To those that are trying to find their identity and just trying to make do with whatever it is that they find, I wish you the best. You guys got this. All right, bye. Ow.